Hey, can you wash the potatoes on the counter?
Yeah. Hey, this pot olive is good to wash the potatoes, right?
Oh my gosh, Brandon, you're supposed to use water, not soap. You just go in there and sit down and I'll take care of this.
Weaponized incompetence. Trying to call this comedy is making light of an issue that is serious. There is a stress gap between men and women. Compared to men, women are twice as likely to suffer from severe stress and anxiety. Married women do more housework than married men. When men and women marry each other, even if there are no kids in the picture, women do more housework than their partners, on average. Yes, even when they make the same as or more than their male partners. The only time you see that average shift is when women are the sole providers. And it's like this much, this much, he does a little bit more. Men have more free time than their wives. Even among teenagers, boys are spending more time on leisure than girls. Why isn't weaponized incompetence funny? Because it's oppressive. Because failing to do a good job on purpose makes you seem unreliable. Failing to do a good job on purpose is opting in to breaking their trust. It's setting up a situation without their consent to demand their time and energy. Your failure to put in a good faith effort leaves them no other choice but to overcompensate for you. When you use weaponized incompetence, you put your needs and interests above theirs. You remove their autonomy and choice. You take their time and energy and access to opportunities without their consent. Not funny.
Nothing better than sleeping at a girl's place. Because girls just have the best furniture.
All right, bro, I need you to listen to me, okay? This is not me hating on you or hating on your setup, but I need you right now to listen to me. Having a nice place takes work, right? And anything that is work involves practice to get good at. So when you go to a girl's house and that house is nice, it's not because she's a girl and therefore magically everything around her becomes nice. It's because she has practiced and worked and puts in effort to make her place nice. And so when you enjoy her nice place, you are reaping the benefits of that work that she has put in without having had to have done that work yourself. And when you're just a guest or a partner coming over, that's fine. But if you want to live with a girl like that, then things change. Because when there are two people living in a house, that means it takes twice the amount of work to keep it the same level of nice that it was when there was one person living. But a lot of guys in your situation don't really appreciate this. They've lived for years in a setup like yours, and then they move in with a girlfriend with a setup like hers. And as you just said yourself, her setup is better. But in their heads they're thinking, well yeah, obviously this house is better, it's nicer, it's cleaner. But my girlfriend knows how I usually live. So it's only fair that I continue to do my normal level of housework like I would if I was living alone, and she keeps doing her normal level of housework because she'd be doing that anyway, and I'd be doing that anyway. So nothing has to change. I don't have to do any more work. She's just doing what she always does. What could be wrong with that? Everybody wins. She's doing the same amount of work as before, I'm doing the same amount of work as before, but we both get to live in a nice house. It's great. Except it's not fine. Because the guy living there has doubled the amount of work it takes to keep the house clean. So it's not that he's doing the same amount of work as before and she's doing the same amount of work as before. It's that he's doing nothing and she's doing double. And so the girl starts asking the guy, hey, can you help out around the house? And he gets resentful and angry. He's like, but you know I don't do housework. You know I never did housework before. Why would you expect me to do it now? You just got a different standard for cleanliness than me. You know I can live in a dirtier house than this and be fine. Which, yeah, he could. But he's not now. He's chosen to live with someone cleaner. Because he likes living in a cleaner house. He just doesn't like having to do the work it takes to have the cleaner, nicer house. He wants the results, but not the effort you need to put in to get the results. And that means all of the work falls on her. And that sucks for her. It particularly sucks for her. It also sucks for him and their relationship. So I just need to tell you now, while you're still in this pre-living with a girl with a nice house stage, don't become this guy. When you go to a girl's house and you see how nice it is compared to yours, start thinking about the work it takes to maintain that house and how one day, if you want to live with a girl who has a house like that in your own house together, you're going to have to contribute to that upkeep if you don't want to be a shitbird of a partner. So if you want that future, the good version of that future, where you and the girl live in a nice house together and you're not a shitbird partner, now is the time to start practicing. Now is the time to start putting in the effort in your place to figure out what it takes, how much work is involved in keeping it nice or making it a little nicer than it is. You don't have to go all out, but it might be good to just figure out how much effort it takes so that you can better appreciate the labor that goes into it, that the partner you're eventually going to have will already be doing, and to which you eventually will have to contribute if you want to live in a fair, shared household. Anyway, yeah, that's my PSA for the evening. Because it's not that girls are naturally better at this stuff. It's just that because of sexism, they're more likely than boys to have been taught how to take care of a house and how to look after one and how to furnish it from a younger age than boys are. There are guys out there with nice places, and there are girls out there with shitty ones. But if you're a guy who's never been taught this and you've never really thought about it too much before, there's no shame in that. But this is your sign to think about it. Because there are two roads before you right now. One of them leads to you being a bad partner down the line because you don't appreciate the domestic labor that goes into making a house nice, and you just assume it's going to be your wife/girlfriend/partner's responsibility forever without appreciating how much you benefit from it and how little you contribute to it. And in the other timeline, you pull your weight. And I'm rooting for you in that timeline. So yeah, there's no rush. You don't have to get everything right away. But it's always good to...
We have to talk about girl dinner and how it relates to the oppression of straight married women.
This is my meal. I call this girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner.
This is girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner. Here's why this matters. When women marry men, they gain about 7 hours of additional daily work, like cooking and cleaning and picking up around the house, compared to single women. This is women without children. So women who marry men gain 7 hours. Men lose an hour of daily work. So if the difference for men is very small, but the difference for women is very big, why?
Girl dinner.
Couple of things. Single men and single women might both be eating girl dinner, but when women marry, they turn into wives, and wives have different expectations than husbands. Women end up cooking more, doing their wifely duties, because they're expected to. Men don't. Another consideration is that men who live at home with women who direct them or who do most of the housework, give them lists, end up having lower standards when they move out on their own. They're fine with the stuff left on the ground or the tidying, and so the women who have higher expectations placed on them end up picking up the slack. Women are often raised to be efficient because they are fully in charge of picking up around the house. They see the inner workings and the way that the gears fit together. So women pick up as they go, whereas men don't always do that. I'm talking broad strokes here, but there is data that suggests that the way that boys are raised and girls are raised within the home and how they take responsibility for tasks ends up bleeding into adulthood. Boys age 15 to 17 have an hour more leisure time compared to girls. While boys are doing things like video gaming, again, this is rooted in data, girls are doing things like running errands, doing housework, and volunteering. Girls are raised with the knowledge that when they become wives, all of the social expectations of being a wife will fall on them, and so they internalize the need to learn those things. Men are not judged the same way that women are when they don't keep a pleasant space. Settling down means something different for husbands and wives. I hate cooking, but I fell into this trap and I tried to learn how. I tried to like it when I became a wife. I feed my kids good food, but I'm a girl dinner girl. I'm a girl dinner wife. That's okay. Eating pickles and chips for dinner doesn't make me a bad wife.
In 1950, 4 out of 10 children had dual working parents. Today's number is 9 out of 10. The difference being in 1950, we had this very rigorous kind of system in place that dad was going to work, mom was staying home, dad was making a paycheck, mom was running the household. In 40% of households today, mom is actually making more money than dad. In almost all households, she's doing more work at home than dad. So there's a tremendous amount of friction and frustration at home around just the actual labor and planning of the house, right? It's so tacky and so cheesy, but it's so true that if you ask most dads, who's your kid's teacher? Like, they don't know the name. Who's planning the vacations? Who's buying the groceries? Who's folding the clothes? You start going down this laundry list of things, and almost always the answer returns back to my wife or mom. But she's also doing a 9-to-5 job.
If I was dating somebody who didn't wash dishes and was like, oh, what's laundry? There's no fucking way on planet Earth that I would be with them for more than 5 minutes. How is the bar so low?
I think what you're missing with this is just how much people can change for the worse during the course of their relationship. We need to have men tell us, what do you think is a good boyfriend, a good husband, a good father, and a good man? Define those 4 things. And if they give you 4 very distinctly different answers, then they likely are going to change as they go through these different roles in their life. Because a lot of men will say that a good boyfriend is sensitive, is emotionally in tune with their partner. Good boyfriends will drop everything and do anything for their partner, to the point of being self-sacrificing. Good boyfriends are on their best behavior because they are trying to win the heart of the girl that they love. They are playing the part of a good boyfriend, and they seem like a very good partner. And then sometimes once they get married, or if they enter into a longer term relationship that looks similar to what marriage traditionally is, they shift. They're no longer trying to be a good boyfriend. They're now trying to be a good husband. And they might not think that a husband does any of those things. They might believe that their only function as a husband is to provide financial and physical security. That emotional connection and sensitivity is no longer part of the role that they are trying to play. This is very, very common for someone to be in a relationship with a man, and then after they get married, they completely change. It's like being married to a different person. And years down the road, people are like, why did you marry this person? Why did you set the bar so low? Well, this isn't the person that they married. You didn't see them when they were courting. You didn't see them when they were a boyfriend. And another shift can happen when a man has kids, that they suddenly are really focused on what it means to be a man, because they want their kids to see what a man is, what a father is. That fathers don't show their emotions. Fathers don't show weakness. Fathers are not sensitive. They don't want their kids to see them being a pushover, doing work that they feel in their heart is work that women should be doing. And that's why we need to get rid of a lot of these ideas about what a man is, what a husband is, what a father is. I need to pay attention to who I am. What do I bring to my relationships? And we need to stop acting like the people who end up in a relationship with someone who doesn't contribute is at fault for setting the bar too low. There is a very good chance that they found themselves in a partnership with someone who lowers the bar over and over again throughout the relationship. There is a very good chance that they saw something of value in that partner in the beginning, but they stopped being that person. And we have got to stop telling young men that it is okay to reduce the amount of effort that they put into their relationships when they become long-term relationships.
2 months before my ex-husband and I finally separated, we had a trip to Disney planned. And a few weeks before that trip, my ex-husband had gotten fired from his job and was yet again unemployed. I think the wives on here already know before I say it, but I planned that trip myself from top to bottom. It's not because I didn't want help. It's not because I didn't ask for help. It's because he would not give me help. I narrowed down the Airbnbs to a handful of options, and I just wanted him to finalize a decision with me. Could not be bothered to find 5 minutes to sit down and look at houses with me. So I rented the house myself. I rented the minivan to drive there myself. I coordinated the trip from Pennsylvania to Florida for 4 adults, my parents out with, and 2 kids, myself. If you've ever planned a trip to Disney, you know you don't just show up on a whim to Disney. You need to know which days you're going to which parks, and then within those parks, you need to know which restaurants you really want to go to, because you have to reserve them months in advance, especially if it's like a high-demand restaurants. And then you want to do your fast passes for the big rides in advance, and then you have to coordinate your lunch reservations with your ride reservations to make sure you can get there in time. So there I am looking at maps of the parks, trying to coordinate, can we get from that ride to that restaurant? Is that enough time? Like hours of planning, hours and hours of planning, and then packing everything for the kids for a week in Florida, plus obviously packing everything for myself. All this man had to do was show up. He just had to show up with a suitcase of clothing. I paid for everything. I coordinated everything. He just had to show up. And do you think he appreciated that? No. Shocker, right? The bitching and moaning this man did the entire trip. Nothing suited. Nothing suited. It was too hot. It was Florida. There's too much walking. There was too much waiting in line. What's the point of having reservations if you still have to wait when you get there? Why is our lunch reservation at 1:45? Who eats lunch at 1:45? Because that's what was available. Because that particular restaurant, I remember it. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one in Magic Kingdom where like Winnie the Pooh and them all are. And it was important to let the kids have lunch with Winnie the Pooh, even if it's at 1:45, right? Just like nothing about it suited. And if you have young kids, ours were 5 and 2 at the time, and you're planning a trip to Disney, you know that that trip is not really about you. You might find some stuff that you enjoy while you're there, but the trip is for the kids. It's about letting them have that magic experience, and then you get your fulfillment from watching them have that experience, right? Like, you're not gonna get to do everything you want to do, but you want to try and get your kids as many of those experiences. So we had lunch at some weird times so that the kids could have lunch with the characters. Like, that's just what you do. But every part of this trip was just so much bitching and moaning, and nothing I had done was good enough. Everything was, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Bitch, why didn't you help plan it? Right? Like, I had to do everything. And I will never forget, on the drive home, we stopped at Chick-fil-A for lunch, and I was driving that portion of the trip. Like, we had 4 adults, we took turns driving. I was driving as we were cruising into lunch, so I handed him my phone because I had the Chick-fil-A app, and just to have him put in the lunch order. And it was such a fucking debacle that, like, he didn't even order anything for me. And so we get to Chick-fil-A, and we have to wait for the food because I had to order more. And my mom and I were with the kids in the little play area they have there, and I lost it. Like, I just finally had a meltdown. And I remember saying to my poor mother, what's worse, putting the kids through a divorce or spending the rest of my life with this idiot? And she just looked at me, because up until that point, like, I hadn't really voiced to my parents how unhappy I was. Like, I was kind of leaving them out of it, right? But I had just seen what the rest of my life was going to be like with this man. It was going to be me doing everything and it never being appreciated. And I just couldn't do it. Let's stop pretending that letting your partner default to making all the decisions is somehow doing them a favor. Let's stop pretending that saying, oh, you do what you decide, whatever you want. Let's stop pretending that's like a gift, because it's not. I don't want to be told, oh, you decide. I want you to decide. I don't want to make all the decisions. Do you know how nice it is to just show up and somebody else has actually planned something? I never experienced that until my current relationship, where it's like my man now, he'll just plan a date night. And all I gotta do is get ready and look pretty. And it's so nice. Let's start being partners. Because I think that's what we all want. We want a partner. We don't want another responsibility.